This is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Thursday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios in beautiful New Jersey and Chicago, Illinois, and an American Whiskey, 51 Edison Place in the downtown area of Newark, New Jersey, in the heart of Devils country, across the street from Prudential Center, next to Championship Plaza. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network as the Devils are taking on the Seattle Kraken, 7 p.m. Eastern start. Sorry for the technical difficulties, the delay. It's nobody's fault. Actually, it was Vinnie's. And but Vinnie figured it out. He was tech support, so Vinnie gets credit getting himself back on air. Vinnie, how are you, my friend? There's a lot of news coming out today for the Devils.
Yeah, today was a tough day for the Devils. I mean, I've never seen a fan base have more of a meltdown for a team that's third in the NHL in points, which I find to be a little bit funny. But, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like all the news that came out today is just wonderful news. So you got to find a way to, deal with the hurdles that come in a full 82-game NHL season. And you got to find a way. You want the Devils to win the Stanley Cup within the next 5 years with this core? You're going to have to overcome some hurdles. And today presented the team with a couple of hurdles.
Yeah, and you know what? We'll talk about the team across the river a little bit later. But Jack Hughes injured week to week. Brendan Smith day to day. Let's start off with Jack Hughes. I'm going to say something controversial. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it loudly and proudly because I've been speaking my mind on Twitter today. You can follow me on Twitter at PrimetimeSamWoo. You can also find Vinnie at Vinnie Parise. And you can always find the podcast page at Let's Go Devils Pod on Twitter. But I'm going to tell you why this is a blessing in disguise. Jack Hughes is out week to week. He's fine. He just needs time to rest. He's overworked. He's got an upper body injury. But this gives Tom Fitzgerald absolute small sample size of where this team is at without Jack Hughes. Let's see how Jesper Bratt plays. Andre Palat, the top six forwards. Dawson Mercer back at his natural center position. Let's see this all unfold before trade deadline. Because there's so much talk about Timo Meier. There's so much talk about Brock Besser and Devils needing a top six forward. And there are some, not many, some like myself, that, and I'm using my words carefully, that the Devils don't need Timo Meier. And there are reasons for my, belief. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean I'm wrong. We could be completely opposite, Vinny, but I may agree with you, even though I have this position of not having to go all out for Timo Meier. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the price for me. He obviously would be a fit. Timo Meier would be a fit on every team. He's a very good player. And he's having a very good season on a very bad team. And so if he came to a really good team like the Devils, you would almost assume that he would continue having a very good season. And clearly, based on the reports that came out from the All-Star game, where certain players decided to spend their free time, you would assume that Timo Meier enjoys visiting with certain players on the Devils. Obviously, he has the Swiss connection with Nico Hischier and Jonas Siegenthaler. But also the fact that Timo Meier is a great player, I think, is a reason to consider him. Would I sell the farm for him? No. But would I, make a competitive offer to get him? Yeah, I would. and it's not the end all be all. Like you said, we're gonna see what the Devils are like without Jack Hughes. And the Devils played really good in December and lost a lot of the games that they played really good in. And the Devils have played really bad in January, but they won a lot of those games. Almost all of them. So it's like water levels out in hockey. How did the Devils go a full month of playing bad and win almost every game? And how did the Devils play so well in December but go 500 in most of those games? It's wild. It's the way it works sometimes. But now let's see Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Dougie Hamilton. See if they could carry the load a little bit without Jack, who has masked a lot of the issues that have been there for the last month or so. This was never the season where the Devils were like supposed to go win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, every season is sacred. But, you know, this is about building something. And they were just named the number 2 prospect pool by The Athletic. You have a team that's third in the NHL in points with a top prospect pool like that. The future is clearly very bright. Jack Hughes is a big reason for it. Lindy Ruff did say it was the lower end of week to week, which means it's probably about a week. He'll probably miss a couple games. People are saying, oh, he's not going to hit 100 points now or score 50 goals. Why? You don't know how long he's going to be out. You know, if he's out for 3 or 4 games, he could still absolutely hit 50 goals. He could still absolutely have 100 points. Is that really all that matters? No. But I do think Jack hurt himself a little bit at the All-Star game when Brady Tkachuk pulled him down.
Oh, yeah. I've been saying that the entire time, or at least today.
And he played on Monday because of the fact that it was against Quinn.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's probably to the point. This is just my guess. I'm not a doctor, although sometimes I do play one on the internet. Jack Hughes was probably shaken up after that play in the All-Star game. And he wasn't an impactful player at the All-Star game, likely as a result. But he was also on their weakest line. It was stunning to me who they put him with. But then they play against the Canucks. If he was so bad and it was such a devastating injury, he wouldn't have played against the Canucks. It was playing because of the fact that Quinn was there, and they probably had the whole family in town. And, you know, the entire Hughes family had a press box. They were at American Whiskey, as we learned.
Well, yeah, and he played well. He played well in overtime, all that. So,
scored twice.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm going to tell you something. Again, getting back, just backing up a little bit here, because there are a lot of Devils fans that immediately felt now is the time to get Timo Meier. Because Jack Hughes is hurt, and then the Tarasenko thing came about when he went to the Rangers earlier today. I'm going to tell you something. I value, this is a compliment to the New Jersey Devils scouting team. I value those draft picks right now because they have been drafting decently under Tom Fitzgerald. Yes, I know that they had the second overall last season. Yes, I know that they sucked for the last few seasons. I think they've drafted decently, and if you give up a first rounder of this year's draft, think of where Dawson Mercer came from the middle round. You may be losing a chance on a player, and I can get the argument that it's guaranteed Timo Meier. Let me tell you about Timo Meier. If you're going to make a trade for Timo Meier, and this is my opinion, of course, if you're going to make a trade for Timo Meier, it must be contingent that there's a long-term deal signed, and it has to fit in the salary cap culture nearing Jack Hughes' salary. Because some of the salary, numbers that have been thrown out there for Timo Meier, in the $10 million range, it's not going to happen. So, and I wouldn't want that to happen to the Devils. I don't care if it fits under the cap now. You have to lock up Timo Meier because otherwise he's going to be a very costly, expensive rental in terms of disturbing that pipeline, which I've done many Woo reports on. You don't sacrifice that pipeline. Some people would say, well, you don't need the pipeline when Timo Meyer is with the New Jersey Devils. I say balderdash, Vinny. You know why? Because that pipeline builds dynasties over and over and over again. And you've got a young nucleus that can be with the Devils for the next 15 years. That pipeline can supply in a salary cap era just to reload. And other players can go. Dawson Mercer may get a 7-year deal, max deal somewhere else in 7 years or something like that. But you have that pipeline, not a big deal. Plug that hole. And that's what the Devils are trying to build. That they ripped it down for the last 10 years. Why stop it now?
I agree. I wouldn't trade Luke Hughes or Simon Nemec.
Yeah.
So if one of those two are the price for Meyer, it's a no. If it's Alexander Holtz, Sharon Govich, and a first, I would do it. I don't think that at all tarnishes your prospect pool. When you look at the teams at the bottom of the rankings of farm systems, it's the Colorado Avalanche, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Boston Bruins, the Pittsburgh Penguins, all teams that have won the Cups, at least one Cup since 2010. And the Bruins are really good right now. They better win their Cup this year, though.
Yeah.
Because they don't have much in the pipeline to carry them forward. And, people are saying, like, they got to get Pasternak signed. Well, he doesn't want to look around 3 years from now and him and McAvoy be the only good ones left on the team.
Yeah.
And, the Devils are far from that. So if you get an extension done with Meyer, similar to what happened with Bo Horvat, I would do it. Again, without including Nemec or Hughes. But if it's the similar package, then yeah. Like what the Islanders gave up Bavillier, who's a pretty good player, Aatu Ratti, who is their top prospect, albeit they have a weak farm system as well, and, a draft pick. Well, the Islanders are in a way different spot than the Devils now. So it's kind of weird that they made that trade. But the Devils doing it isn't, out of the realm of crazy. So I guess we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting trade deadline. But
if anything, I'll tell you, if Tom Fitzgerald jacks up the price on other teams, it's also still a win if the Devils don't get Timo Meyer. Trust me when I say this. I wouldn't mind Timo Meyer on the Devils, but it's got to be at a really fair price. But really, the Devils, when you're negotiating, I think you always negotiate with a position of strength. Right now, the strength of Tom Fitzgerald right now is I got a prospect pool that's like ranked number 2 in the Athletic, for instance. My future's already right here, and I'm going to be continuing to draft and keep that pipeline full. I don't need to earmark $10 million of the salary cap for the next 7 years, San Jose. But at the same time, Carolina, if they want to take that risk, who knows? He goes to Carolina, spends a year and a half. Carolina's built right now to win. The Devils are just kind of a year ahead of schedule, so to speak, and it's probably in year 5, maybe year 5 or 6 in Jack Hughes' 8-year contract. That's when you pull a Timo Meyer type trade move, only because the value of Jack Hughes' contract with the salary cap would be such a sweetheart. It's almost like a rookie contract. You know that Nick Villano's saying, you got to take advantage of these rookie contracts. You really got to take advantage of year 5 and on of Jack Hughes' contract, which has set the standard, the baseline of really good value contracts and players on the team. Again, you're playing with the salary cap. You don't want to be in cap hell. I don't want to do another rebuild for the next 40 years, to be honest with you.
yeah, everyone would like to be like Detroit up until 2016 or whatever, where you're like constantly in the hunt, making the playoffs every year. a chance to win the cup. They won a couple cups. Jack Hughes is on the best contract in the NHL, or at least one of. Him making $8 million, it's a lot, right? Like, we'd all like to make 8 sheets a year.
Yeah.
But, for being a 100-point player, 50-goal player, those guys make 12, 13 now.
Yep.
Jack Hughes makes 60% of that. And it's just one of those things, like, yeah, you got to take advantage of it eventually. It's not like Timo Meier's old, but, it just all depends on the return. I think the St. Louis Blues got more than what I would have thought they would get for people were saying the Rangers won the trade. I'm stunned the Blues got a first from the Rangers for Tarasenko. Tarasenko's a really good player. Listen, I've seen him play live in person like 5 times. I've seen like 5 or 6 Blues Blackhawks games in person. He's a wonderful player.
Absolutely.
And he's just he doesn't seem as motivated this year, and maybe it was because he was with that Blues team that really didn't have much of a chance. It wouldn't stun me at all. And it's the same thing with Patrick Kane. People are, Patrick Kane, bad year. Like, wait till you see how Patrick Kane performs once he's on a contender again. You're gonna feel dumb that you ever questioned Patrick Kane. It's the same thing with Vladimir Tarasenko, which now that the Rangers have Vladimir Tarasenko, they're out of the mix, I would assume, on Timo Meier, right? And Patrick Kane and Brock Besser. All the top wingers that are speculated to be traded before the trade deadline. Does that mean they don't go after a center? Like, would they consider Taves or Max Domi or Ryan O'Reilly? Maybe. But I don't see the Rangers as involved on a winger. And to be frank with you, I don't really get why Carolina would want Timo Meier first and foremost. Why wouldn't they want a center? Why wouldn't they be going for centers?
Yeah.
And yeah, people are like, Jack Hughes is injured. Like, let's go get Kevin Hayes or whatever. The Devils' center depth, Jack Hughes is going to be fine. He's the lower end of week to week, according to their coach.
And let's see what the depth is. I haven't given up on Alexander Holtz just yet because his name has been mentioned in many of the fan groups, Devils fans, and social media. Let's not give up on some of the – I think it's too premature. I think we're about a year and a half premature about judging Alexander Holtz, to be honest.
The thing with
Go ahead.
The thing with Holtz, that you know how people make the connection with Hischier and Meyer?
Yeah.
And, like, they speculate because they went to Mexico together during the All-Star break. Holtz's best friend is in the Sharks organization, William Eklund. He went 4th or 5th overall the following year, or was it the same year? Might have even been the same year as Holtz. But they were line mates in the Swedish Elite League and made lots of plays together. Eklund is more of the playmaker, where Holtz was more of the goal scorer. Maybe it helps each of them to be reunited. I would assume the Sharks would want Holtz in a return. Like, I'm not giving up on Holtz, but trading him, in a sense, it's proof that there still might be something there if another NHL team is willing to take him, even though he hasn't hit the ground running in the NHL. And Holtz's biggest issue is skating. You know, he can make plays. He could shoot. He scored a couple goals this year. He scored a goal in the first game of the season.
It all really depends. He's been working with some skating coaches, right, working on his skating. We don't have the internal information that Tom Fitzgerald has, but if there's not much improvement over the last few months working Alexander Holtz, maybe that would be a reason to trade him. That could be a possibility while his stock value is still intriguing to a team like the San Jose Sharks. But, getting back to what the Devils need, because I see the comments in the YouTube Live and Facebook Live, everyone's saying, hey, the defense better step it up tonight. Well, the defense better step it up in terms of Tom Fitzgerald rounding out the depth on defense. When you talk about the word want and need, the Devils need to bolster some depth especially on the blue line. You know how you zero out a Tarasenko? Say if Timo Meier is on the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs, you zero them out with a great team defense. That's how you build a championship team. And right now, I think Tom Fitzgerald, being a year ahead of schedule, number 2 pipeline, according to The Athletic, and I'm going to reiterate and beat a dead horse again, Vinny. You know what? Tom Fitzgerald can just sit there and not do anything and make San Jose make concessions and lower that price tag. And maybe just and if there's an agreement in place for a long-term deal with Timo Meier after seeing Nico Hischier, if you want to talk about the Mexico trip, that, my friend, is the only way I would be like, okay, that's a good deal. You can get it. But without sacrificing a first. But you're still going to have to send assets that way, but not a first. If you would throw in Seamus Casey, technically he's a second rounder from last season. I don't want to, but you're still. The reality is, to get Timo Meier, you're going to have to send, but not a first. Definitely not a first rounder.
When's the last time the Devils traded their first round pick?
Probably Lou Lamoriello days.
It's been a long time. Was it Bo Horvat, like the pick that the Canucks used on Bo Horvat?
Yeah, the
Corey Schneider?
Corey Schneider trade. Absolutely.
I'm trying, because 2014 they took John Quenneville. That's when they got their pick back. On the Kovalchuk stuff.
Then Pavel Zacha, Mikey McLeod.
Pavel Zacha was 15. McLeod.
Nico Hischier. Ty Smith. Jack Hughes. Then
the 3-pick year.
Yeah, the 3-pick year. And then 2021 Luke Hughes, right?
When's the last time they traded their first round pick in season? Because, they traded that first round pick, but it was on draft day. They went into the day with their selection.
Well, they had Adam Larson. You know what? That's a great question.
It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time. They may have swapped picks, possibly. I don't know. But
the Devils have made a first-round selection for 10-plus years at least.
Yeah. Also, we better get to our Thursday night prediction because Max, game time, get those victory bucks, trademark, ready in the super chats. Thank you, Max Pedanoff. He's saying 4-2 Devils.
4-2 Devils. It is going to be hard to score against the Kraken.
Mackenzie Blackwood in net.
Mackenzie Blackwood in net. Part of me wonders if they're showcasing some people. Holtz draws in, Blackwood starting. Because, it wouldn't stun me if they traded Blackwood and started using Schmid as the backup. But I'm going to go 3-1 Devils.
I'm going 3-2 Devils. 3-2 Devils. AJ Bravo had that as well. And you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to make a prediction. The Devils will be okay without Jack Hughes. Last time Jack Hughes got really badly injured was against, coincidentally, the Seattle Kraken. They went afterwards on that 8-5-3 start the previous season. Maybe they'll find a way, but it all starts with the core leadership of Hischier, Bratt, Dougie Hamilton, and good goaltending. It's going to start right there. Dawson Mercer is going to have to step it up in that role, and I think where it really affects them, quite honestly, is more on the 3-on-3 and overtime if it gets that far.
I agree.
Yep. Well, thanks, Vinny. Thanks, everybody. You're seeing all of your predictions. 4-3 Devils says Felix. JP says 4-2 Bad Guys. Daniel says on Facebook Live 4-2. Matthew Heaton says 3-2 Devils, going with my prediction. I want to thank everybody. Thank all those at American Whiskey. They all filed out for the game. The game's probably just about to start, the puck drop. Also, Devils After Dark, after the game. Scotty of Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was and keep the debate going about Timo Meier, Brock Ness Monster, and all that kind of jazz. And also, just don't forget to go to pucksandpitchforks.com and read all the articles, read all about it. Lots of opinions, lots of tweets, lots of Let's Go Devils podcasts as we're closing in 1,500 downloads or less to 500,000 for our 500,000 party at American Whiskey on February 25th. Stay tuned. See you after the game. Till next time, let's go Devils.